Hey there, traders and investors. It's Rod with Powell Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap. Today's a recap for Thursday, May 27th. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Beyond Meat. This is going to be a follow-up video I did a few weeks ago. You can check out my previous Beyond Meat video. But essentially, I said, was it time to buy? And I bought off $100 support there on daily oversold. And looks like it was time to buy. So we're up from that low, sitting almost 47%. So almost 50% there in about a week, a little over a week. So we'll look at the BYND chart, how I suspected that was going to happen, and what I believe is going to happen here in the next few days and weeks, potential resistance levels to be looking out for. We also had an article here from the Motley Fool. I take what they say with a grain of salt, but I'm actually agreeing with what they say here based on these details, which I'll explain here in just a moment. But we're going to look at some news and events on the day today, and then we'll look at the broader market. And we'll put some timestamps in the description below as well, but we'll look at the BYND chart in detail and what to expect going into tomorrow and into next week. But before we do, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. So Biden's budget will include $5 trillion in new federal spending over the next decade. Also, Senate GOP unveils its $928 billion infrastructure counteroffer to Biden. And here's what's in it, so you can check out that full article if you're interested in learning more. We also had the initial jobless claim numbers come in at the lowest since March 2020, and that came in at 406 versus 444 last period, and the estimate was 425, so beating estimates and the last reporting period at 406, so 406 is the number to beat. So the Fool says that they believe that Beyond Meat stock jumped today because CNBC's Jim Cramer said on Mad Money that on Wednesday night, would have been last night, that WallStreetBets crowd should make Beyond Meat the next meme stock to short squeeze, so basically the next target. That would make sense because we saw AMC Entertainment shares just absolutely rocket 40% today. I was going to do a video on that as well, but I figured I'd just amalgamate it into this video and focus on BYND because AMC, you got to be careful on this name. There's a couple people in our group that bought it around $12 and $10 on that pullback recently. Congrats. I mean, we hit $30 today, and I'll go over that chart here in a moment on how we could have predicted that potential temporary top there at $30. But congrats to the bulls first and foremost. So again, we saw a lot of those names today running, and a lot of the heavily shorted and short squeeze WallStreetBets targets all running simultaneously. So again, we'll look at that in just a second, and I'll put some timestamps in the description below, but just want to look at the crypto space. So we are in a 15-minute downtrend signaling 4-hour consolidation on Bitcoin. So if we zoom in here to the 4-hour, you can see that we are pulling back, and it's a 4-hour inside bar. So whichever way we break, we're likely going to head up to resistance and set a new 4-hour high or low. But at this point, if we lose the low here, we're going to confirm a 4-hour downtrend, but we're still in a 4-hour uptrend at the moment. And we'll be watching to see which way that 4-hour inside bar breaks, but daily consolidation underway here on Bitcoin as well. And we're going to look for a potential daily trend change as we haven't changed the daily trend yet, and we're topping out at EMA 12, but we are bouncing back nicely. If we can get over EMA 12, close a candle above that, which would be at 40,670, then we're likely heading up to EMA 26 around 45,000, and again, need to see that daily uptrend confirmed to be absolutely confident. So SPY broke out on the daily today, broke the inside bar bullish, double inside bar actually, but we pulled back at resistance at 420.71. We got as high as 420.72. So double top there, and notable as we started to pull back and close near the low of the day. And wouldn't be surprised if we saw daily consolidation, meaning we pull back to around 417, 418, maybe even as low as 415 tomorrow. But keep in mind, we don't have any support down until 405.33. Dollar broke out today again on the daily, but struggling with EMA 12, still in a daily downtrend, not much to see there. And QQQ, so started daily consolidation, but not seeing much follow through. And it's a potential daily bull flag. SMH breaking out to a higher high today, and those two have been heavily correlated. So SMH semiconductors standing out a little stronger, but maybe that is a clue that we could see QQQ follow through into tomorrow. But closing near the low of the day, a bit weak. Oil today had a nice strong day. We have resistance up at 66.99, hit 66.87. So need to be cautious here as well, as we have no real daily support down to 61.58. Silver still a bit weaker than gold, but holding the daily EMA 12, closing above it. That's the most important factor at the moment, and we'll be watching to see if we close below it. And we're still holding the daily uptrend. Gold started daily consolidation, but not even close to testing its 12 exponential moving average on the daily, and that's sitting down at 1870 and still very much in a daily uptrend and bulls in full control. XBI, biotech sector, trying to get over EMA 26, closed at the high of the day. It's got resistance up at 130, so we had a nice strong day in the biotech. XLE, energy sector, pulled back. So a little bit not seeing as much strength recently, with the strength in oil kind of doing its own thing. Financial sector breaking out on the daily. Again, I've been saying that the financial sector, watching for the correlations to start to pick back up with the MJ space, and I'll do another MJ video as well after this video. But healthcare sector was weak again today, closing at the low of the day. Daily inside bar though, and just looking for a higher low compared to 129.59 after setting a new all-time high. So taking a look at BYND, massive move. So from the lows here, from the lows here at 98.86, you're looking at about 10 trading days, so about a couple of weeks, and we're up 47%. We've got a couple gaps in the chart here to be watching for as well. But one thing I wanted to highlight is if we bring up the Fibonacci retracement, the 0.32 fib would line up with this gap fill here at 127.88. Keep in mind that we had resistance at 150.66 and 150 psychological. We got as high as 146.80 after running 50% almost with no daily trend change. We still haven't confirmed a daily uptrend. So if we could see a pullback, likely going to be a daily inside bar and tightening range tomorrow. And then whichever way we break, if we break 146.80, then we're likely going to continue the daily bounce. You have to be cautious of a bull trap, but if we break support at 133.54, that's going to signal daily consolidation and likely targeting a gap fill here at 127.88. That would line up well with the 0.382 fib, which would mean that we could potentially see a daily bull flag. And if that were to confirm, if we saw the gap fill and then a daily bull flag, we'd be targeting 180 on the daily chart. We also have resistance up at 183.75 as well, so that lines up pretty good. And just taking a look at the weekly chart, you can see we're back above the 10-week moving average. The stochastic has crossed bullish. MACD still yet to see a bull cross, but getting very close. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here on BYND going into the end of the week. We are topping out here at the 50 weekly moving average at 140.82. We closed at 142.61 though, so a close over 140.82 by the end of the week. Even 141 would be extremely bullish in my opinion. And we did top out at the 200-day moving average, which is at 142.13. So if you were watching for potential resistance today, we knew we had resistance at 150.66, 150 psychological, and we had the 200-day moving average at 142.13. So entirely possible that we've topped out, at least for now in the short term, and that we're likely going to head down to that gap fill and potentially see a daily bull flag on that pullback and a higher low while attempting a daily trend change is what I'm going to be watching out for. And again, that gap fill we'll be watching extremely closely as well. We also topped out at the weekly VWAP, which is at 144.65. So there was a ton of resistance there in that area. And we had a ton of clues to potentially start taking profit. Personally, I'm a long-term holder of BYND, and I haven't sold any of my shares yet. It's in my long-term, it's in my long-term portfolio. So, I'm not as able to buy and sell as frequently as I would in my swing trade and day trade account. But essentially just holding this one, I'm extremely bullish for the long term. And let's see if WallStreetBets can have their way with this one and run it to the moon, so to speak. But let me know in the comments below if you're bullish on BYND, if you loaded up on that recent pullback. And the reason why I entered was because we had $100 psychological. We were daily oversold. We were pretty low there at one point. We were down to almost, sitting at 20 here on the RSI. Sitting down, we're almost in the teens, and that came after a massive move from 114 up to 221. So we've seen nearly 100% move, and 100 psychological, we were down from that high at 221. We were down 55%, and it was the first time we were daily oversold since that massive 100% move. And again, I was looking to add to my position, to my long-term portfolio. And I was fighting the FOMO, daily downtrend. Then we had this pennant that broke out bearish as well, and just fighting that FOMO for the longest time. And I believe my average is 113 on the stocks. So sitting comfortably in that position, and just want to say shout out to the bulls. So on the bulls and bears for the movers today, on the bull and bear list, we had MVMD, LEV, and gold. So MVMD, I know our group has been targeting entries on this one, and we've been holding off because it's been in a daily downtrend and we had a lack of support. But here we are approaching 37-cent support, which is our weekly higher, previous weekly support. And we could be heading to weekly oversold. One thing is we're already daily oversold. So it's entirely, and we have a lack of resistance here up until about 86 cents, and we're quite oversold on the hourly. So I could see a short interim bounce before we resume to weekly oversold. It's entirely possible that we don't get there as well, but if you are looking for a long entry, I would encourage just to start to, add a little bit now and then maybe look to scale in towards 37 cents. But I know that's a name quite a bit of people in our group follow and are bullish on. So on the bull list, AMC obviously, NKLA, SPCE, BYND, DFLY. So AMC, massive day today. RSI on the daily sitting at 86.81. It's time to be cautious. We are in a daily uptrend after forming a higher low and a higher high, but we don't have any support down until 12.03. So that is the most nearby daily support. We have EMA 12, which has been holding as well on this run. So we'll be looking at EMA 12 as a potential support zone at 1583, 15 psychological. But congrats to the bulls. I mean, in 4 days, we're up over 100%. Sitting at almost 150. And today, I was looking at this with a member, Graham, in our group, and we were looking at to see when it was potentially going to top out. And I was under the impression, my thesis was basically I was looking out for potential volume climax or a blow off top. And we also had some resistance around the $25 area, 25 psychological. We were up about 100% in 4 days at that point. So I said, I'm going to target $25. Maybe we shoot a little bit above and then we pull back. And sure enough, I said, watch for a volume climax and a blow off top potentially. And then once we got over $25, noticing that we had a higher low every single candle for 17 candles in a row for an hour and 25 minutes. We hadn't lost the previous candle low of those 5-minute candles. So in 17 candles in a row, as soon as we lost the low, and we just take a look at the volume climax, that was our signal. So volume usually precedes price, and we had that volume climax. That was the most 5-minute volume we've seen on AMC. I don't know about ever, but at least within the last few months. Anyway, we'll just say in a very long time, that's the most 5-minute volume we saw. And sure enough, a candle later, we had that volume climax and we hit $30. And look where we back tested, 25.18. So as soon as we lost that previous low, even if you just exited looking to reload cheaper, or you were going to initiate a short position, you could have entered once we lost the previous candle low. So right here, when we lost that low, we still dropped another 8% from that bear break and from that signal. So but from the high of the day, we were down about 16% there to the low of the day, just a little over 15%. And then we had a nice bounce recovery, about 17%, ended up essentially double topping and getting rejected. We did miss it there, not quite a double top, but came within about 25 cents or so. And time to be cautious. Could see it's likely going to be a daily inside bar tomorrow. Volume is massive. You don't want to short this thing either. You don't want to play too much with fire, but like I said, that short entry here on that 5-minute loss of that 5-minute higher low pattern for 17 candles in a row was absolute money. So that's pretty much all I want to mention in terms of that today. Going to end it there. I do want to just remind you that I'm going to come out with a MJ video here just shortly after this, so make sure to tune into that. And don't forget to check out my BYND Beyond Meat video from a couple of weeks ago when I said, should we be scouting buy entries? And it turned out it worked out extremely well. So congrats to those who, I know there was quite a few people who followed me on that trade in our group. And I'm sure there was a ton of people online on YouTube and the interwebs who followed that trade as well. And just overall made decent profit from BYND over the last couple of weeks. So going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap. And we'll see you a little bit later on for an MJ Sector review. Take care, everyone.